welcome to the Annoyed Adult Podcast. My name is Howard Cam, and today I got to talk to you about a couple things. And right now I'm in the car, and I think this is the only place I can just get it out because I can't say this in my classroom. So the first thing I want to talk about today is that I have this student who is woefully, massively unprepared for school. And let me explain. So for those of you that don't know, I'm a high school teacher. I mean, that if you've listened to this show, that's something I talk about a lot, and I talk about a bunch of students. And I have this kid that he's a senior now. And as a senior, he's in my highest level classes. And I think it's kind of a mistake on my part to allow him to take my highest level classes, because for an entire year last school year, I said to everybody in the class, I said, listen, you are going to need your own computer and your own USB card and your SD card. You're going to need a bunch of equipment is what I'm saying, because we're going to be creating podcasts. And so for an entire year, I told people, you need your own laptop, you need your own equipment. And if you don't have those things, you can't take this class. I mean, if this was like a freshman first year class, then yeah, I'd provide, all the equipment. But when we start doing more complicated things like audio editing and things like that, you're going to need your own equipment. Okay. So for an entire year, I tell the entire class that. And then, the next school year starts and everybody has their equipment and we're ready to go. And I'm giving all these kids a license to all the Adobe products. I mean, we have a site license. And so I assign licenses. And I asked this kid, I go, hey, where's your laptop? He goes, I don't have one. I'm like, well, you were supposed to have a laptop for this class because I have to hook you up with Adobe Audition and then we're going to install a bunch of things. He goes, well, I don't have a laptop. I go, well, how are you going to edit your audio files? He goes, oh, I have a computer at home. I'm like, okay, yeah, but how are you going to follow along in class with the lesson? He goes, I'll just take notes and do it at home. I'm like, all right, man. So I took him for granted on that. I took him at face value for that. I said, fine, you want to take notes, and then you can edit it at home. Fine. And then, as we begin to start and do our lesson, and then it's time to record your show, he goes, I don't have an SD card. I'm like, okay, well, you need an SD card to put into the mixing board so it'll record your show. And he says, well, I don't have it. I'm like, dude, you're supposed to have a laptop and SD card. You need both those things to do this class. And then he finally says to me, he says, and I shit you not, like this is the most fucked up thing. After a year and a half, he goes, I thought you'd give me those things. I'm like, what the fuck? What do you mean? He goes, I thought you'd give them to me. I'm like, I would give you a laptop and an SD card. Are you serious? He goes, yeah. And so this kid's a transfer student from a different high school. And the high school he transferred from was a Title I school. And this Title I school, has a higher population of financial obligation kids. Financially, they have financial needs. And so they have more money. Title I schools have more money. And he goes, I thought, in my other school, they gave us all the equipment and they let us use it. I'm like, yeah, I understand that. But you knew that for a year and a half, even on the syllabus and for a year, I told you need equipment. And he goes, well, and he keeps bringing up my other school this and my other school that. I'm like, dude, you're not at that other school anymore. Stop bringing up the other school. You're not at that school anymore. You're at this school. So things have changed. And besides, one of the mission foundations of our school that I work at is this being career ready and world ready, which means you have to be ready for what the world throws at you. And so I have to tell him, I go, look, if you're a carpenter, right? You go to work with your tools. We're coming to class with our tools. You need your tools. And he's raising his voice and he's getting mad. And then finally he says to me, well, I don't need this class to graduate. Oh, well, perfect. Then this is it. Like, if you don't need my class to graduate, then why did you take it? He goes, I trusted you. I'm like, what do you mean you trusted me? I didn't lie to you. How did I lie to you? He goes, you're supposed to provide the equipment. I'm like, no, I told you for a year and a half, you have to bring equipment. So I'm trying to find this middle ground. And I said, look, can you record on your phone? He goes, I go, can you record on your phone? He goes, no. I go, why? He's like, because I don't have enough space. I'm like, you don't have the space in your phone. Like, what's taking up all your space? Your video games? He goes, no, my photos. I'm like, okay, well, why don't you just move the photos to like, Google Drive or Google Photos or Apple Photos or whatever the case. Move it to a cloud service. He goes, well, so how am I going to edit it? I'm like, oh my God. I don't understand what the problem is. Like, are you completely unaware? Like, some of these kids have this, like, I don't know what to do attitude, this entitlement. And I have to explain to them, it's the same analogy that I've given countless number of times, and I'm going to give it to you again. I say, in a video game, when you play it and the enemy kills you in your video game, do you throw the video game away? And the answer is always no. Okay, so if you have a video game and you play it and you die and you failed, you try again, and you try it again and again. If you can't find the key to a level or unlocking a certain level, you keep trying, right? And the kids say, yeah. Like, well, that's just like life, man. You got to keep trying. You got to keep trying and try to solve these problems. But he just keeps making these excuses of not doing the work. Because I said, fine, man. You don't want to do the work? Don't do the work. It's up to you. I cannot force you. Welcome to America. If you don't want to do it, it's not going to happen for you. Just take the F, whatever. Everyone else is working. I'm not going to expend my energy on you. Oh, God, Jesus. Like this, the sense of entitlement with some of these kids is driving me insane. By the way, you know what I told this kid about his show? Because he likes to complain about how much he hates the school that he's at, and he hates the teachers, and he's angry. I told this kid, and going back a little bit, I told this kid, you know what would be great? If you did a meta show, you did a podcast about how much you hate us as a podcast, and then I'd have to grade you and give you an A on the podcast, telling everybody how much you hate us. That'd be great. That would be a fucking awesome show. But is he going to do it? Fuck if I know. Now for my second thing. So I'm coming from the gym right now. I'm driving right now. And I just came from the gym. And I have this set, right? So I have 32 sets that I have to do. It's in my logbook. I do them 3 days a week. It is a standard routine, and it takes me about an hour 15, depending how exhausted I am. But I see this kid, a high school age kid, maybe barely out of high school, and he's just standing around on his phone. He'll stand by the dumbbells, grab a set, get on his phone, start messaging, and then not do anything and lift them. He'll just sit there. So I'm working through my sets, and I'm just like watching this kid just in the corner of my eye, and he's not lifting at all. He's on his phone for the next 10 minutes with his dumbbells at his feet. Oh my God, man, I need that. I need those dumbbells. And then, for example, I love using the Smith machine. And then when I see an open machine, it's great, but sometimes he'll beat me to it. He'll stand in the Smith machine rack. If you don't know what a Smith machine is, it's like, imagine like a squat rack or like a regular like metal rack, and there's a bar, and it's a safety style thing where you can like hook the bar back yourself, and it runs on a rail. So it's a lot more safe. You can hit stops so you don't crush yourself to death in case you rep to failure. So he stands in the Smith machine rack, loads small weight on, which I guess whatever, that's your weight. But then he just stands there on and just starts messaging his friends or messaging somebody. He's just on his phone the entire time. Like, get out of the rack. So if you're that person, like, get the fuck out of the rack. Put those fucking dumbbells down and go fucking finish your message, then go lift, then fucking do your message again. Like, don't just sit there the entire goddamn time. Or like people just on their phone the entire time. Even if it's not this kid, do your fucking reps. Get the fuck off the machine. Like, I understand you do your rep, you do your rep, you rest, and just do your sets, do your reps, and then move on. Like, don't hog the fucking machine. It's not your fucking machine. Understandably, it's not mine either. But in this place that I go to, it's a gym, right? We all pay to be here to work out. So let's work out and not be a twat about it. Pick up your fucking weights and fucking lift them. All right, look, I'm pretty sure everyone has their own annoyances. Everyone has their own bitches and gripes about shit. But, these are mine. I don't know. Other people might be annoyed by the same thing and you don't want to say it. I'm deeply fucking annoyed by this shit. I just want to exercise and work out, and I want to deal with fucking students who are an entitled bunch of twat. See you later.